Are you charged to make this the best day ever? Well, here's the thing. How do we get more output out of the same time in the day? And that's what we're going to talk. We're going to talk about releasing to your subconscious mind. To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. Everybody's like, God damn, you guys got a full house this morning, man. We're all here. Lisa,
yes,
Lisa, back for first good morning of the day. Good for you, girl. Now you got to just give us one on YouTube as well, all the other channels. So everybody, today is going to be a spectacular day. We're gonna come from a management sales side. We're gonna come from a psychology side. We're gonna come from every single side in this particular session, and we're gonna talk about releasing to our subconscious, right? So our subconscious is 30,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. Everything has to go through the conscious mind to hit the subconscious mind, right? We look at it, the infamous one is tying your shoes, and it turns into just a habit. So how do we turn these massive productivity movements into habits? Imagine what it would be like if you just out of habit walked in and picked up the phone for sales calls. Imagine how powerful that would be, where there's no anxiety, there's no, delay, there's no hesitation, there's nothing. You're like literally shattering those glass ceilings every second of every day. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today we got Jim and Mandy with us. I will let you two introduce yourself because I typically don't do a very good job of introducing people. I'm actually horrible at it. I tend to stutter. DJ's been there before. We did a live session for nine and a half hours, DJ. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to interview everybody. And I think by the fourth person, I was like, dude, I just hacked the hell out of all of that in the morning. It's horrible. So we will start with ladies first. Mandy.
Yeah. Thanks for this. Your intro is awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Very sharp. Very good. I'm Mandy Morris. I'm the corporate shrink here. And so corporate psychology therapist. I'm a licensed professional counselor. And I am a co-clinical director and co-owner of Mosaic Counseling Group.
Beautiful. Jim.
Hey, I'm Jim Karr. I am a longtime management consultant. I won't tell you how many years because, it'll make me feel too old. And after that energetic introduction, I'm kind of tired, to tell you the truth.
My friend, I take a nap after every show. So don't worry
get ready. We're just getting started now.
But I've written about a half a dozen books. I'm in the middle of writing book number 7 as we speak. You can see me doodling down here as we go along. And I'm really psyched to be on the show and to talk about this great program Mandy and I are working on.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so why don't we start there? Tell us about the program you're working on. What's happening?
Yeah, what do we got?
Take the lead, Jim. You can go first.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? We've got this idea around well-being and helping people get unstuck. We think there's a definite need out there in the marketplace. There's people still, reeling from the last 2 years, and the workspace is a little, edgy for a lot of folks. So we thought we'd put our heads together and come up with a program. We've got a 4-part approach to helping folks actually sort of recast their mindset so that they can get focused on what they really want to be doing, going forward.
Sounds like we're shattering glass ceilings. I like I like Ryan's comment. It was dull and gloomy outside. Then I turned, or Hayden, sorry, it was dull and gloomy. I turned on sales chatter and the sun came out. Coincidence? I think not. Hayden? Not. It's funny because the same thing happened at my place. So I mean, it's crazy because the light, it was dull. I was like, okay, do I close the blind? Because the inflections that come in and out. I'm like, nah, I'll leave it out, and then it came out. Nerfad, when we reach a healthy old age, God willing, I will let my grandkids sit next to Moses in 3rd grade. Nice. All right, so let's start there because I think the glass ceilings that we all self-impose on ourselves are part of the things. It's crazy how this conversation's come out because it seems like that's been the theme all week, DJ, hasn't it?
Well, we just talked about it with Andrea Waltz. It was in the book, Pike Syndrome. It's the
Yeah,
same
Pike
advice.
syndrome, right? Creating that glass ceiling and go for no. And then it came up on Monday, and then it also came up on Tuesday again when we were talking with Nick Romer.
Yeah.
Gentleman we had on Tuesday is actually selling something that's never been sold before. And part of his challenge is he has such amazing results with this product. People are going like, that's impossible. Come on, that's too good to be true syndrome. But getting back to that glass ceiling. So with the two of you, one side management, one side mind, what do you find some of the biggest things that we do to ourselves to impose that glass ceiling?
I'll start. So, yeah, that's a great question. And sometimes we don't even know we're stuck. We just
Mhm.
are. And it's something that you have to really kind of go into reflection and self-awareness, because your high functioning anxiety or high functioning depression or whatever it may be your normal, and so really looking at what your quality of life is like is important. But one of the biggest things, and I won't go too long on a tangent with it, because
Go as long as you want,
I can
because
get into
I'm
science.
sure I will dig
No,
deeper
no,
once
but
you
you were
go.
saying
So go.
before, so like 95% of our brain is all subconscious long-term memory. And so what we're doing in the present right here, right now is 5% of our brain. And so things can trigger us, can come up, and that hasn't been worked through or resolved, or we didn't even know was an issue. And not even know it, or it come up out of the blue, or whatever it may be. And typically from the work that I do, it's always going to go back to a unhealthy negative belief about yourself that you're operating out of. Like an example would be like, I'm a failure, or what if I fail? I'm powerless. I'm not good enough. So like you go to pick up a call and you notice that you're anxious about it. Maybe there's a fear there that you'll be perceived as weak or not salesy enough, which will go back to a belief about self. And so all of this self-awareness is important, and really looking at the areas that make you uncomfortable and why.
But, let me riff on that a little bit,
Yeah, I
Mandy.
do.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things that we're doing in the program is we're actually offering a methodology, if you
Mhm.
will, an approach for sort of getting unstuck. And one of the steps in there is, in essence, kind of taking a baseline of
Yeah.
who you are, what you're about. And it starts with increasing awareness of sort of your negative beliefs,
Hmm.
as Mandy was saying, and being able to figure out what your triggers are so you can reframe your self-talk. And a lot of stuff that I do with clients in my coaching practice is about trying to help them recast the way they talk to themselves,
Hmm.
because what we start inside comes out, and sometimes it comes out sideways,
Hmm.
right? So what we want to be able to do is get a full awareness of like what's going on with me, what triggers me, what do I say to myself,
Hmm.
and then how do I recast it. So sort of practice self-kindness becomes one of the outcomes of one of the steps in our approach to
Hmm.
helping people get unstuck.
Yep,
Mm,
absolutely.
mm.
And
So,
go ahead.
sorry, Mandy, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and yeah, because um, a lot of people who we both work with, will have a habit of some negative thoughts or negative thinking, and they think that pessimism they think is realism. And the reality is that negative thoughts don't have any value. They don't get you into problem solving mode. They don't help you in any way. And so we really dive deep into that, along with other parts like our principles, our story, our action steps for after. I mean, all of it is this package program to help you rewire your operating system.
Okay. So you're kind of taking that self-image piece,
Hmm.
and you're taking your little conversations today, as I call them, your little conversations that you have with you, you're amalgamating them and saying, okay, pay attention to this. So how would one go about identifying what is stupid self-talk? Like, oh, that's just the way my brain's wired. And secondly, we have one of the biggest things that I've found anyways in a lot of the people that we've coached, we've trained, that DJ and I've spoken to. It's that self-talk that you say, okay, now I realize it, but the gap between this is how long it's been programmed in my head and become ingrained, and now I'm trying to change it in a week. And 2 weeks later, nothing's happening, so I'm getting frustrated. I'm kind of going back to my regular self. We often refer to it like a golf swing, right? Like you're playing golf and you're an average golfer, and you go to a golf school and they rearrange your swing and it feels really weird. It feels awkward. But if you stick with it, you get more fluent and you can start really crisping the ball and really playing the game of golf the way it was designed to play.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Right. The game of life is the same way. And I mean, let's call a spade, right? This is the reason books are called shelf help instead of self-help. Because most people go in to buy a book, buy a program, when they're in a valley, and we should never make decisions in a valley. And when they're in the valley, they buy it. But all of a sudden, that life cycle that tends to happen with everyone, all of a sudden we start coming up. They read 2 chapters. The book goes on the shelf. It collects dust. They're like, oh, that's a great book. That's a great book. I mean, I was in the worst time of my life. I read the book and now I'm not. But it hasn't really changed anything. So what is the differentiating factor to change what you're trying to have people identify?
You want to start, Jim? You want me to?
No,
We're going deep. We're going deep, people.
We're going deep. Okay. Yeah. Well, and I think it's cool because we have, we do very similar things with this, but we have 2 very different backgrounds, and that's why what we do is, I feel, very unique and powerful. So as to start off with that, I call it becoming the curious inner scientist of yourself, like just learning to be the observer of your thoughts and your feelings. Just because you think something doesn't mean you have to go with it. And just because you feel something doesn't mean the thoughts connected to it are accurate. And so you don't want to be judgmental about what goes into your mind or what comes out of your mind and how you feel. You just want to observe it. It's typically the judgment around those thoughts that creates more problems.
Does judgment stem from past failures or successes?
Past failures, successes, shame, something connected to what's going on that maybe has happened before that, your brain is just picking up on. One of my favorite quotes is by Aristotle. It's the mark of a educated or wise mind is the ability to have a thought and not believe it. So just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. So first step, become the observer. And then you can take a look at that thought. Is this helping me? Because our thoughts, feelings, and actions are all interconnected. That's going to drive behavior and how you feel. So that would be a starting point, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, kind of playing off of that a bit, and actually one of the comments you made, Dan, you got to want to do it. You got to want to change, so it doesn't really matter, what book you read or what practice you're considering doing. It only matters if you do it. It only matters if you want to change. So one of the things
change or even be better. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The focus of our thing is sort of getting unstuck. And part of what we do is we say, okay, you've got an origin story. Let's start there. Let's understand how you got to where you are right now. So we go through an exercise where we help people kind of tell their origin story. Where did they come from? How did they get here? How did Dan and DJ get to hosting this great podcast today? What happened to get you guys here, right? And then a little later on, as we go through a little bit more of, the exercises in the program and so on, we get to actually fashioning your story of you for the future. And we make you kind of talk about it in regard to already achieving that vision for yourself. So this is who I am. I'm up on stage. I'm doing this.
How you want the story to end.
Right.
You want the chapters to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it's playing off of strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and all that stuff. But it's about trying to help recast the script, flip the script, so that people have a plan by the time they get done with our 3 days together. They have a plan to actually go about moving forward and achieving their vision for themselves. They start where they are, the origin story, and then we help them get to where they want to go next.
So what would you suggest to the people? Sorry, DJ, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go, brother. It's all good.
I
Go.
was just gonna say, I mean, you guys, to me, I think you hit it right there, Jen. You finished it and hit it right on the head. But with the awareness and then really tracing back, I mean, that's what kind of helped me was like, okay, because the Dr. Bruce Lipton idea of we have this recording going on from 0 to 6, and we're just reliving this recording until we change it. It was like, okay, well now I have to. Why do I feel this way, and why are these things happening? And then it's okay. Well, this is I remember this and I remember that. And, oh, we might have been doing this, so this might maybe cause that. And just that awareness really was like boom. And then finding the clarity is really was the key. But yeah, you guys, that was.
So
I
here's the
agree.
second part of that I think is super important for everybody watching and listening. It's all great. The conversation's amazing. The structure, the process. How does somebody go about doing it? Because everyone watching and listening, it's all good. We get a dopamine drip. We get all this great stuff from watching positive psychology and watching guys like Napoleon Hill and all this stuff and Bruce Lipton. It's fantastic. But then there's those quiet moments by ourselves when we put our head down on the pillow. And all of that talk from the day turns into lies when it's real talk, because we really do have this glass ceiling that we put on ourselves. And, if a guy like Elon Musk can make it, why can't anyone else make it? And then we start coming up and rationalizing. We ration lies to ourselves about, well, he's this, but it's not. He puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like everyone else. So how do we make that transition? How does one go from, I know there's more. I mean, I might not know exactly how to get there today, but I know there's more for me out there. What would you guys suggest for anyone watching that's kind of in that dilemma right now? Like take all, let's strip this down to the bare minimum. Take all the talk out of the way. What is the action plan for them to get to that newfound? Because then once you get there, we all know the next level is the same thing to get there, because we might, for a salesperson, for example, in logistics, right? Our entire network is logistics. Your kind of first barrier when you get into logistics is that $5,000 a week. Most companies kind of want the salesperson to do 20 G's a month in order to kind of move to the next level. You break through these barriers to hit $20,000 a month. Now it's like, we'll do 50 grand a month. You're like, oh man. And your whole body becomes uncomfortable. But when you break through each level and hit 50, now somebody says, do $100,000 a month. There's no way I could be $1 million producer, but you can. And it's breaking through that again. So what do you guys do differently, specifically to help people break through these barriers? Because even 3 days, not enough to put your head down on the pillow at night for some people. How would that reconstruction of each of these phases work?
Here's the thing, Dan. When you
Yeah.
walk out of our program, you've got a plan. The last step in our process is develop an action plan for you. So you can't work my plan. You got to work your plan.
And we continue to follow up for accountability and coaching.
Okay.
So
if you
What
think
is
about,
that action?
I
go
want
live?
to kind of go through the process really quickly
Go for it.
for the audience. Start with baseline. Here's where I am. Define your target, your vision for yourself. That's where you want to be. There's a delta, there's a gap. Fill those gaps with actions, and that becomes the input into your action plan. So that's why everyone's action plan is unique to them. It's bespoke for them, because they're all starting someplace, their own place, and they're all going someplace where they want to be. So that gap has to get filled with action, with activity. And to answer your question, how do you do it? You work your plan. You have to work your plan. It doesn't make any sense to walk out of our session with a nice set of ideas and not use them. If they become dust-ridden shelfware someplace, like the book analogy that you used at the beginning, you read a couple of chapters and put it away, not going to make the change. And that's why I answered that other question you had is you got to want to do it.
And that's the thing. We can't make other people want it. You can't make somebody else want it. They have to want it.
But I also know, DJ, and I'll speak from personal experience, okay? At 18, I started studying personal development. Bob Proctor was a huge mentor of mine. It took me till well into my 30s to shatter that glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, this is not overnight. And this is why I'm being very specific here, because our audience deserves the real core answers. We have all these great things that we say to ourselves, all these great quotes we read, all these great books. But when we put our head on the pillow that self-talk for me anyways, and audience, please share, it overpowered every single course, every single thing. It was like, what am I thinking? Like, you
So
know,
even
you have these amazing moments of like, oh my God, that idea is crazy. Yeah, that's gonna be it. And then it's like that, you know, like it's almost the instant where it goes, you're an idiot. You can't do it. You can't do it. And for me, it was more that education piece. I'm a grade 9 dropout. So everything reverted back to, Dan, you don't have the education for that. You don't have the education for that. And it took me like almost 2 decades of trying, hitting the ceiling, hitting a wall, banging my head, concussion after concussion after concussion, if you want to say it, to get there. And I'm trying to dig to the root of, is there something that we can do in our self-talk? Because that's more powerful than anything to help us overcome that. And hopefully people listening aren't going to take 2 decades to get there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is that, you know, we don't want anybody to spend years trying to, you know, break through these ceilings and it take forever. Like we really believe and know, and even from the science behind all of this, that what we walk y'all through will work. And so when he was talking about the story and then the vision, and then there's all the things in between, and what you're saying right now, it's breaking down why you keep getting stuck.
What are some of the common reasons you see people keep getting stuck?
Common reasons is one, well, the first thing you'll notice is the negative self-talk or the fear self-talk or the worry self-talk or whatever that is.
Once you're aware of it, right?
Yep.
You'll
So
kind
you
of
bring
see it
that
in a
into
different
awareness.
perspective.
Yep. And then, so I would ask myself, what's the earliest time in my life I thought and felt that way before? And that's going to trace it back to where the self-limiting negative belief began. And if that doesn't get corrected and that doesn't get rewritten, then you're going to continue to see everything and feel everything through that same lens and that same operating system. And
So in order to rewrite it, you have to continuously rewrite it over a period of time in order for that new language to stick? Or what are you seeing from that side?
So for instance, let's say you trace it back to something that happened in 3rd grade, 4th grade. And the self-limiting belief was, I don't belong, or I'm not good enough. But when you look back at the situation as an adult, it's like, well, that wasn't really true. I would never say that to a kid, but it feels true. And so there's a disconnect from the mind and the body, from what you know to the logically to be true to what actually feels true. And so by rewriting that part of your story to, you know, I did belong, I was good enough. That was because of whatever it was because of. Or my, you know, let's see, say you had a dysfunctional family, like all of us. And, you know, and some of your limited beliefs
pretty much
come from all of that. You can look back and say, oh, that's because my parents were doing the best they could. And it maybe wasn't enough for what I needed at the time.
They only read the first 2 chapters and then they put it away.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. And so from there, it's looking at yourself in a different way. And it's being able to now apply this new healthy belief about self into everything in the future.
Here's the thing, right? I mean, we spend lifetimes trying to rehearse the lies, whatever they are, whatever we want to believe, right? And we rehearse them over and over and over again. And that's how they get implanted. That's how they become our self-talk, right? So the very first thing you got to do is become aware. How am I talking to myself? What am I saying? What do I think about myself? Not what I'm projecting outwardly, but what am I really feeling inside? So, Dan, to your point about when my head hits the pillow, there's no escape. You're inside your head there. That's that, right? There's no more projection. You know, we're not on a podcast now. What do we actually believe? So we start there. That's why we go to the origin story. That's why we talk about helping people understand how they got to where they are at the moment.
So the self pillow talk originates from your origin story.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's playing in a loop in the back of your head. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're
Over and
getting
over
down
again.
and dirty here.
Like,
Perfect.
well, like Mandy said, in the third grade, somebody said, fill in the
Mm-hmm.
blank. Well, okay, that became programmed in our minds. We probably went to bed that night in third grade and kept
Yep.
saying it over and over to
I
ourselves.
didn't get into the doctorate program. I didn't,
Right.
whatever it may be that now becomes this feeling of unworthiness or not capable or whatever it could be.
Here's the thing, guys, it becomes your truth. If you
It
say
does.
it over and over again, it's
Mhm.
what you believe.
Mm.
So what we're saying is, hey, knock it off. Start with awareness. What am I saying to myself? How am I talking to myself?
Mhm.
What do I want to do? Where do I want to be? And there's that delta, there's a gap. Okay, how do I get there? How do I get from where I am to where I want to go? And that becomes that action plan. And part of an action plan could be like Mandy referenced earlier. I mean, you may say that I want an accountability friend who's going to remind me on a regular basis. Am I practicing what I'm trying to accomplish? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
Why? Because if you recast the script, if you flip that self-talk script in your head, you start to move in another direction. You start to move towards the achievement of your vision.
So there's a thing
Mhm.
called confirmation bias. Whatever you think, you see, right? I
Yep.
bought a kind of different red car. I hadn't seen that color red before. After I bought it, it was everywhere. I saw it everywhere.
Yep.
You know,
It's so true.
right, right. And
Yeah.
so,
Leave it and you
when
will see it.
yep,
Wayne
so
Dyer.
when you change your lens, opportunities actually show up way more than you would think because now
Mhm.
it's coming into alignment with yourself.
Mhm.
And it's still scary. And it's not like, yeah, now take action and you'll be fine. Everyone would have done that by now if it was that easy. And so, with the new lens though, we have the accountability and help you create the courage to do the hard things and to take the
Beautiful.
risk and to do all that so you can get where you want to be.
Sorry, guys, we've been neglecting the old comments today. So
Oh, yeah,
Hayden
that's
Yeah,
says
okay.
this
yeah.
falls right into that identity role T chart we spoke about. Absolutely, Hayden.
Yes,
Absolutely,
sir.
sure does. Lisa says awareness precedes change, 100%. Jeff says an unmotivated conscious keeps you from acting upon your most basic urges and desires in business. Take the
Mm,
saying, follow your dreams. Now my twist is create your dreams on what
Mm,
you want to do, follow them or
mhm.
make them happen. Very well
mhm.
said. Very well said,
Yes,
Jeff.
sir.
Hayden, we might have to read half of this on and half of it off. But you're talking my language here with the Matrix, brother. Let me tell you that. We have to shatter our own glass ceilings and false narratives we've been instilled with. The older I get, the more I see our world as a simulation with rules like the Matrix. They manipulate and bend those
Mhm.
rules to be more human. I'm a little where we be more human. It is a big one. I'm a little crazy, but the more I maintain this perspective, the more it proves to be valid. The reasonable person adopts themselves to the world. The unreasonable person persists in trying to adopt the world to themselves. Therefore, progress depends on the unreasonable person. I like that. That's almost like that should go in a framed picture on your wall somewhere. That's great.
Very well
Um,
said.
Good one.
Hayden says, Jim and Mandy, have you ever practiced the creation and implementation of alter egos to show up as your best self for any chosen field of play?
Yeah, I'll start with that. Yeah, just in a nutshell, we all have different parts to ourself. The part of you that is anxious is just a part of you. There's also a part of you that knows how to have confidence, and there's a part of you that knows, um, how to talk to people in a different way or whatever it may be. And so, when we can identify that we actually have all these different parts of ourselves, then we can look at who do you want running the show. If you put all those parts of you around the conference table, who do you want running the show today? And then envisioning that and using that to, yeah, create that best version of yourself.
Love it. Love it. Jim, how would you reply to that?
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous idea. It's not something that I practice with my clients, but one of the maybe similar things that we do is we kind of go through an exercise, usually early in a coaching thing, and talk about superpowers. What's your
Hmm.
superpower?
Yep.
And why I do that is I want to get people to actually recognize the stuff they do well
Hmm.
and help
Mhm.
launch from there. So
Build that
rather than going
confidence.
back and, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good. Well, what are you good at? And let's use that. Let's leverage that strength, because that can be the foundation or the platform from which we grow into whatever we imagine for ourselves for the future.
Beautiful.
No, I
Beautiful.
love it.
DJ.
I love it.
So first, for all of you looking to find out more about programs and all that, please connect with Jim or Mandy on LinkedIn. I want y'all to actually take the action and go and do that, because
Yes,
that
if you feel
shows
like
that's
you're
a little bit
stuck.
of a micro commitment. Go do that. Go connect with them. Ask them about their programs and services and what they can offer. Hopefully, you guys have seen the value of that transition from really being aware, taking that awareness, turning it into action, taking that action and crushing that glass ceiling. DJ, what do you got to bring us out of here, brother? Did you? Now, the big thing is every single day, DJ seems to be like just so in tune with where the conversation's gonna go that the quote matches the exact conversation, regardless of how it starts out. So let's see what happens today, DJ.
Well, I already had it picked out, so hopefully it's a good
I
one.
know.
But first off, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mandy. This
Thank
is
you.
amazing. The power of your mind, guys, and belief is so strong, so powerful. So if you feel like you're stuck, you want to get to that next level, but you don't know how, you might want to reach out to these guys. Again, like us and subscribe down below if you're watching this on a replay. We do replay this as well now every day, 12
12
o'clock.
and 3 times a
And
day.
3 Eastern Standard Time. So you will see a replay of the show. If you do see it, then we're not live. We might be live before, but if not, again, like and subscribe to catch us when we're notified. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:30. Start your day right with us. Dr. Bruce Lipton, my man.
Yes, sir.
Perception is awareness shaped by beliefs. Beliefs control perception. Rewrites beliefs and you rewrite beliefs and you rewrite perception. Rewrite perception and you rewrite genes and behavior. I am free to change how I respond to the world. So as I change the way I see the world, I change my genetic expression. We are not victims of our genes. We are masters of our genetics. Be the masters of your genetics, guys.
I
Change it.
love that.
Nice. That was good. It was a half a book, but it was good.
Sorry.
It was a good
I
half
loved
a
it.
book.
I couldn't help
I
it.
know, buddy. That was necessary. It was necessary to go. And remember, guys, American Logistics, Centurion Trucking,
Yes.
Daman, the man, the team out west. If you got any freight on East Coast going west, give Daman a call. Centurion Trucking.